Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm doing an Ask Me Anything About Being a Booktuber. This video was inspired by a video I saw Smoky Glow do, who is actually not a booktuber. She is a makeup and beauty commentary, kind of social commentary channel. I love her, and she did one for being like a YouTuber or like a micro-influencer is what she's called in like the beauty space. So I saw this and thought it'd be interesting for Booktube. This video is also being sponsored by Campfire Technology, but I'll talk about that a little more later. So I asked you guys on Instagram for questions related to being a booktuber, and I'm not going to say anyone's username because I said it was going to remain anonymous so people could ask juicy questions if they wanted to. And I have not looked at these or pre-prepared answers because I find Ask Me Anything's more interesting when people kind of like respond on the fly. So let's get into it and see what you guys are wondering about. Do you think you would still be on Booktube if your channel had stayed small, like under 1,000 subscribers? So when I first read this, I was like, I think so, because I've never really been motivated by subscriber count, but I think being under 1,000 is actually incredibly difficult and like demotivating, especially if you're under 1,000 for like years. I think that the algorithm just like picks up on certain stuff, and either you get boosted above 1,000 or you kind of just don't. And I never am really sure what the cause for that is. I think there's some easy solutions to that. Like I think if you can, upgrading lighting and like sound and just making things look visually nice are ways to like easily kind of get above the 1,000 subscriber count. But yeah, I think if I was on here for 5 years and still below 1,000, I think that'd be hard. It kind of depends on how active the community is too, because if you have under 1,000 subscribers but you have a lot of people that you're really active with, that's also really fun. So I really can't say it would be like, what is the quality of the community, and hopefully it would be really good, but I did not stay under 1,000 subscribers for very long. I think it was just a couple of months. So I don't know how that experience would be. I understand that being really unmotivating for people though, but if I was under 5,000, I would still be doing Booktube videos. Under 5,000, you can still have a lot of engagement and stuff, so I feel like under 5K, I would still be on Booktube. Do you feel pressured to make videos all the time? Not so much by the community, more so by myself. Like, I've stuck to my schedule of 3 videos a week pretty much constantly. There have been a couple of times over the years that I've missed a few here and there, but only 1 video at a time. I don't think I've ever missed 2 videos in a row the entire time I've been on Booktube. Maybe, but I don't think I did. So it's just like I'm in the schedule now, and it's not hard for me to keep making videos because I tend to bulk film like this. So I haven't really felt like super pressured again by the community, but more so just like by myself sticking to a schedule. How and why did you decide to start Booktube? I'm going to keep this brief because I've talked about it before, but I watched a lot of beauty content back in the day. I still do, but I watched a lot of beauty gurus, but I was like, I'm not good enough at makeup to do a beauty guru type channel. Like I'm decent at makeup. I'm not going to say like, oh, I'm bad at makeup, because I think I'm decent at makeup, but to be a beauty guru, you have to be like phenomenal and like be buying all this new product and be like, know a lot about technique. And I don't. I know how to put makeup on my own face. So I just knew I wasn't gonna be able to do that, but I was like, ooh, books I can talk about. And I think I either discovered Lena from Lena Norms or Kaz from Little Book Owl first and saw they were doing content on books, and I was like, this is it. This is how I can get into an online community. And it all went on from there. Was it hard starting out, and did you ever think about quitting? I've never really thought about quitting Booktube, and that's through having cancer, that's through graduate school, that's through breakups, that's through moving, that's through having a really hard job, that's through like kind of everything. So I've really never considered quitting. I have thought more recently, since I've been on it for so long, like what will be the time that I do not make videos anymore? And I really can't picture it at this point, but I'm like, there has to come a time that like I won't make videos, right? But I don't know, like our landscape culturally is changing all the time, and like content creation is like a big part of like our culture. So I'm like, I feel like I could still be making videos for years. So yeah, I've never really considered quitting. How weird is it to explain YouTube to your family, and do you tell them? My family knows about it. My family's known about it for a long time. I would say that YouTube isn't weird for my family to understand or friends. It's like new people. Like having to be like, oh yeah, I have like a YouTube channel or whatever, and people are like, what? Like my family gets it. Like right now, actually, I'm filming at my parents' house, and so I'm filming in the basement, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go film, so like try not to walk around a lot because otherwise you'd hear them like walking around all the time. So like they get it, and they're like, oh, are you making videos today? Like they ask, but they don't like get it, but like they vaguely understand. They don't think it's weird, and they don't like ask me about it all the time. Like they just like, it's part of my life. But it's new people that are very like, huh? And it's like one of the worst things. Like, not, that's dramatic, but like it's not a comfortable conversation for me. I don't like having it. I don't like, even when we're out in groups of other booktubers and we're like out to dinner in a normal place in like Muggle land, and people are like, how do you all know each other? And we're all like, internet, but like, are you gonna be weird about it? Like, it's just, that's weird to me because I don't know how to describe this part of my life that's like a big hobby, but like people think is weird. I don't know. What are your favorite and least favorite videos to edit? I wouldn't necessarily say I have like a favorite. Like, I'm pretty okay with editing any video. I like the gushes and stuff because it's fun to like relive my like happy feelings. I hate anything that requires a lot of like putting in additional like images or a lot of cuts. So like, I hate any kind of shelf tour. It's the worst. Like anything, even the one I did recently with my TBR, just like where you're like holding up a book and you're like, it's this book, it's this book. It sucks. Like, it's just not fun. But it's not super interesting to watch back. Like, I don't mind watching back my videos a ton. Like, I don't want to watch them over and over, but like, I don't mind like watching myself back to edit. So having to do that kind of just like mindless stuff, like that sucks. I don't really hate the rest of them. Again, unless I have to like insert a ton of clips. Like, I don't love the anticipated videos necessarily. I like them, the content of them, and like watching back the content, but having to add all of the book covers is like an annoying thing, so those annoy me a little bit more. How long does it take for you to set up and film? I never really have to set up because my setup is already set up. Like, I never take my stuff down, take down my lights and stuff, because I've always been in an area where I can like leave stuff up. Even in my like my living room at my apartment, I was just me, so I'm like, this is all staying up. So setup wise, like, it usually takes like an hour for me to like put on makeup, like 45 minutes to an hour if I'm doing like a fun look or whatever, sometimes half an hour if I'm just like throwing makeup on. And then filming itself, I bulk film like at least 3 videos at a time. So I would say filming minimum is an hour, regardless of when I film, sometimes more than that. So yeah, and then there's the editing, but you didn't ask about editing, so. Do you feel pressure to read a certain amount of books each month? Kind of. It's internal and external. I feel like from a content standpoint, easier to read more and then you have more for content. So you have more content to make lists out of, you have more recommendations, you have more things to put in like themed videos. So I like to read at least 4 a month. Anything less than 4 and I'm like, I barely have anything to talk about. Like, it's just, I like to talk about books and I want to have a lot of books to talk about. So like reading just like 2 books a month, the times I've had that happen, is just like discouraging from just like a content aspect, because I like talking to you guys about books and about themes and about characters. And when I only have a few to add to the pile as far as like what to talk about, that's challenging. Would you try genres you don't particularly enjoy if someone suggests it? Not really. I mean, like, if I know I don't like a genre, I'm not gonna read it. So even if someone's like, Sam, you should really read this horror book, I'm like, no, because that won't be fun for me. So other genres I will. Like, I recently read a like essay collection, Little Weirds by Jenny Slate, which is like so out of my wheelhouse, but a lot of people are recommending it. It was short, like that's fine. I will read like historical fiction, that's not really my thing. I will read literary, but like, I don't go out of my way to read genres I personally don't like just at this point in my life, because it's just like, I just want to have fun and read things I like. Like, that's the goal right now. I think once I get like my TBR down a little bit, I know that's like what everything hinges on, but I think that I'll kind of be able to experiment and want to experiment a bit more. But right now I don't want to. Like, I just want to do the stuff in my wheelhouse. Like, things are shitty and chaotic and just like a lot of shit sucks right now, so I just want to like have fun with the things that I'm bringing into my life, like video games, TV, books. Like, I just want to do fun stuff and not like experiment right now. Did you start Booktube in hopes of finding other bookish people? I kind of touched on this, but yes, I wanted to talk to other people. Did I think, or did I even hope that I would have bookish friends? When I started, I didn't actually think that was going to happen. Like, I did not go into it being like, wow, I hope I meet like real life friends. Like, that wasn't even a possibility on my radar. Like, I'm getting a little teary. If you would have told me when I started Booktube that I would have, in like 5 or 6 years, go to Mexico with like 8 of my friends that I met through Booktube to go to one of my other Booktube friends' weddings, I would not have believed you. If you would have told me that like 5 years into Booktube I would meet my best friend who I met through Booktube who lives in the UK, I wouldn't have, like, that wasn't even on my radar. Like, I would have never thought that would have happened. Like, I thought that I was going to talk to people in the comments, but I didn't think I would have like real life friends that I talk to every day through Booktube. So that's like far exceeded expectations. Do you ever read books that you don't share publicly? No, but I've thought about it. I have friends that sometimes will do this, but like, there's never been anything that I've read that I haven't shared. But there's been a couple of books that I would say are more like controversial. Not the books that are controversial for like being racist or whatever, but like books that some people love and some people hate, that are so polarizing that you kind of get attacked either way if you read them or don't read them. I've thought about like sometimes reading those if they appeal to me. Again, I only read books if they appeal to me. So there's certain books that I'm kind of intrigued by, but have so much controversy around and like opinions that are like really like strong on either side that I just don't want to get in the bullshit. I've talked about this with a couple of books before, so you might know some of them I'm referring to, and it probably wouldn't be that hard to guess with some of them. And I think it's because I'm intrigued about those books, but I don't care strongly enough to put myself in the shit for whatever opinion I have, because I don't care that much to read them. And that's why I haven't done that. If there was a book that I was like really highly wanting to read, then I would read it, and I probably would, like, I don't know, there has yet to be a circumstance that I've really, really wanted to read a book, but not get into the shit about it, so I would not tell people. Yeah, if I really, really want to read a book, then I'm invested enough to get in the discussion about it. So yeah, it hasn't happened yet. Least favorite part of being on YouTube. I don't really have like a least favorite part. I think there's little things that annoy me. Like there are certain kinds of comments that sort of like annoy me, not even necessarily hate comments, but just like people making assumptions or presuming that they have more control over what you do than they do, you know, like, or people being like, you need to read this book, and why haven't you read this book? And, or even like pretty innocent ones that are like, oh, you didn't include this person in your favorites list, or this book in your favorites list. And I'm like, yeah, because it wasn't a favorite. You know, like that kind of stuff. So I get more like annoyed by YouTube than things that I like hate about YouTube. If you could change anything about your booktube life, what would it be and why? This is something I'm actually trying to do. I want to get like better at editing and use a better editing software. I've been using the same editing software since I started. It's Adobe Premiere Elements, which is like a pared down version of Premiere Pro. And I actually want to get Final Cut and like do fun stuff with editing, but I'm nervous. It takes me a while to learn editing softwares. It would take me forever to edit like a simple video on a new program, but I should probably maybe do that now when I have a ton of time. I don't know. So like that's something that I'd probably change, is that I'd be like more invested in my editing. What's your favorite and least favorite thing about being a booktuber? I would say favorite is like all the friends I've made, obviously, and that this is a really fun, motivating hobby that I have, and it really motivates me to read more, honestly. I think I read way more because I'm a booktuber than if I wasn't. I think my least favorite thing is probably that sometimes it does take the fun out of reading. Like, I got on Booktube to discuss books, but I feel like sometimes we do get so bogged down in the discussion of it, and it's like, I just want to have fun with it sometimes. You know, like, and usually I do. Usually I'm able to take a step back from stuff and be like, I don't want to engage with that. Not to be ignorant, because I do engage with that kind of discussion, but there's some discussions that I'm just like, you know what, I'm tired. Like, and that one is not that important. So I have to just like choose on the spectrum of discussion like where I'm going to place my energy, and that's just kind of irritating, because there's a lot of things with books that's like, if I was just like a normal reader, like I wouldn't even know some of the stuff that people are getting pissed off about, and I'm annoyed that they're annoyed, and like it's just about like the dumb stuff. Like, I'm not talking about the big important things. You guys know me, so I shouldn't make that disclaimer, but like, you know, I don't want people to take my words out of context, but like some things are just like but also, if I wasn't a booktuber, I wouldn't be reading as much anyway, probably, so. Is there something or some video that you now regret doing that you would never do again? No, I don't think so. I've never gotten a video that's gotten a lot of hate. I've learned and grown throughout the years, so I always do stuff, and I feel like most people do this, with the information I have at the time. So I can't go back and be like, oh my god, I was so ignorant. Like, yes, you can feel that way, but it's like, well, you didn't know at the time, or whatever. And I don't really feel like I've posted anything like, again, that I'm like ashamed of or anything. Like, I've never deleted or put a video on private or anything. Like, there's been no videos that I felt that way about. Like, I've always been like, I put that video out with the best intentions, and I would not change that. So yeah, there's really nothing that has happened that I wouldn't have done. How many books do you get from publishers a month? It depends. So, and also it depends on how many I keep, because there's been months that I've gotten like a few. Actually, I don't get as many as I used to, I think, because publishers were like, you don't read these. And I'm like, yeah, because you're sending me stuff that I don't even want. Because sometimes once you get on a publisher list for asking for something, then they'll just start sending you their random like B, C, and D list books. And you're like, I don't want this, and this is not even my genre. Like, I still sometimes get horror books from certain publishers, and I'm like, I have never once read a horror novel that you've sent me. Like, why are you doing this? But I feel like it's anywhere from like 1 to 2 to like the most I've gotten in a month has probably been like 5 or 6. But I would say on average, it's like 1 to 3 a month on average. And then I usually don't keep a couple a month too. So I don't know, since I've moved this most recent time, I moved and I sent them my new address, and I said, like, just a reminder, here's the genres that I read. So I think that helped them. I've done that a number of times. But I think that helped them most recently to not send me stuff. I mean, I'm sure I'll get back on the list and they'll just like start sending me stuff, but yeah, that's helped so that I'm not getting like a bunch of crap. And I don't tend to request a lot of stuff also because I'm trying to get my TBR down. I think I'll request more again when my TBR is down, so that like my most anticipated releases I'll probably like request and see if I can get those for review. But I haven't really been doing that, so I haven't gotten a ton of books. But as I said before, I only keep stuff that I'm really interested in. What motivates you to film, and are you ever self-conscious about videos? Again, motivating is just like talking to the community and like talking about stuff that I really enjoy, and like just the content creation is just like fun for me. I never really feel self-conscious about videos. I know a lot of people have discussed on Twitter, and I even have friends that are like, I filmed a video and I didn't like it and I deleted it, and I don't think I've ever done that. It's not that I have like the best self-esteem, but I'm pretty confident in like what I create. Like, so I never feel like I look bad or like I don't like it. I think the only content that I've not posted has been because I couldn't edit it in a way that I wanted to, and that's been like maybe 1 or 2 videos the entire time that I've done booktube. So it hasn't been like a me thing. It's been like, I want to do this video a certain way and I don't have the skill to do it, so I'm not putting it out. But again, that's not like a self-conscious or anything feeling. It's just a skill with editing thing. Are you glad you decided to start a channel, and if you could go back, would you still start your channel? Absolutely. No questions. Do you ever want to write a novel yourself? I've talked about this before a little bit, and no, I personally at this point do not want to write anything. I find being an author to be incredibly difficult. I have a lot of friends that are writers, and I know it's just very difficult, and like I don't think I would have the motivation to do that work to write at this point in my life. I'm not saying that I never would. Actually, when I read Little Weirds by Jenny Slate, I actually thought like, of anything, I almost feel, and I never would have felt this until I read her book, I almost feel like I could do a book like that was just like word vomity essay stuff, more so than like a novel, actually. What's funny is I do have an idea for a novel and like some themes and stuff, but I think that my world is like, the amount of time and effort I want to put into the world is like so exhausting. It would be like super hard to organize, and I just, at this point in my life, I'm not super motivated by it. But with talking about writing, this is a good time to talk about Campfire Pro, who is sponsoring this video. Campfire Pro is an organizing software for writers. So this is a software to really help at the start of building a story, and would probably really help me if I ever did decide to write my story. I've kind of thought about using the software actually to try out and see if I could really flesh out the world and the characters if I did that, so. But it has character pages to keep track of your characters, their traits, their background, things like that. It has timelines, so you can really map out the timeline and make sure everything makes sense. You can track character arcs and make sure those make sense, and there's even a map view so you can like track locations. They also recently added a world building expansion pack. So again, this is the one I'm really intrigued by because you can use it to really expand your world. It will really help with constructing new species, items, magical items, especially if you're writing, you know, like a sci-fi or fantasy. Cultures, religions, philosophy, languages, all in one software. So this helps get away from like the random Word documents and spreadsheets and stuff, and has it in a more interactive space that is just easier for organizing everything in one space. Campfire Pro is a one-time purchase of $49.99, and then the world building pack is an additional just expansion pack of $24.99. They do have a 10-day free trial on the website if you want to try it out, and I will leave a link down below for you guys to try out if this is something that you're interested in. I know Camp NaNoWriMo is coming up in April, so I know a lot of writers are kind of gearing up to try something like this out. And thanks again to Campfire for sponsoring this video. So yeah, I am very tempted to do something like that and flesh out my world and be like, could I write it? But again, I just don't think I have the dedication and the motivation for that kind of writing habit. Favorite videos to film versus favorite videos to watch. I feel pretty equal about filming anything. Like if I'm making something, it's because I want to, so I like the content I make. I have never made a video just to make it, or because people like want it. I actually buck against that. Like if someone's like, I want this video, and I'm like, but I hate that kind of video, like I don't make it. So I pretty much enjoy filming most videos, gushes, discussions, whatever. And I tend to watch discussions. I don't tend to watch a lot of reviews or discussions of like individual books. I like watching wrap-ups. I like watching discussions. I like watching like discussions of tropes and stuff like that. But I actually watch primarily non-booktube content like just these days. Like my hobbies kind of go in spurts. I feel like most people's do. So I'm kind of watching content related to my current obsession, and so it just kind of changes around depending on what I'm the most into at this particular point in time. And I feel like I'm kind of subconsciously avoiding booktube content a little bit. Like I still watch a lot of it, but I feel like I don't watch as much as I did at the beginning because it makes me buy a lot more books and I'm trying not to. What do you think makes a booktuber popular? I actually have a discussion about this that I want to do that a lot of other people have done, and a lot of particularly Black content creators have talked about, with sort of like some classism on booktube, and just the fact that like the most popular booktubers are white upper middle class to wealthy, pretty, young people. That's just kind of how it is. Things have changed a bit. I wouldn't say they've changed. There has been more room made for other people. And this is not saying that like those booktubers who are fitting those things that are large are at fault for that. But I think it is easier for people to get bigger followings if you're white, wealthy, pretty. So that's not saying that they don't work hard. That's not saying that, you know, this is a separate thing. But I just think that when you're talking about people getting ahead in life in general, I don't think that anyone can really make the argument that everyone starts out at a level playing field, and that is true for booktube as well. But I think a lot of it is that just being able to start out kind of with an advantage of being able to buy better products, things to make your videos better, like to have better lighting, to have better quality, because now all of us are spoiled and we're so used to having like HD pretty videos with like good lighting and whatever. So I think it's hard to start out as a booktuber with like just using a webcam. Like you absolutely can, but I think that it is just harder to get like the ball rolling on having a bigger following. I think a lot of it is luck. Honestly, I think a lot of it is like just hitting the YouTube algorithm at the right point, which none of us can quite predict, and just skyrocketing. Like you've seen this with TikTok creators too. Like any kind of platform is just kind of like that. There's a very large element of luck. I think there's consistency. So if you're putting out a lot of content, or not even a lot, but just consistent content, then it's easier to get a following, get more popular. I think it's personality and what kind of personalities people are attracted to. I think there are some people that will never be popular on YouTube just because they don't have the personality for it. It's kind of like not having a radio voice. Like that's just sort of one of the factors that like some people just aren't, and it's not that you have a bad personality, you just don't have a YouTube personality, and you shouldn't fake trying to have a YouTube personality. And there's not any one YouTube personality, but I think there's a number of personalities that just make it easier. It's ease in front of the camera. There's a lot of things. I think people reading, you have to sort of read a mix of things that are popular, but also recommending new stuff so people don't get bored. So there's a lot of factors that go into popularity, but I do think the biggest chunk is honestly luck. And then a very significant chunk is like, you know, how much you can buy books and have like the pretty, you know, editing and everything, just because that's culturally what we want and have been trained to do because of like the beauty gurus out there and like just the people like the lifestyle influencers that just are like, everything is beautiful. So yeah, I could make like a whole just discussion about popularity on YouTube and stuff, honestly. I probably won't because it is like an exhausting thing to talk about, and I actually like talking about it in person more than like on a platform like this, because it's like fascinating, like how the way the algorithm works and like all that. It's just like, it's interesting like from a cultural perspective. Best book that you have read that you were sent by a publisher that you knew nothing about. I would say most recently is The Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. I was sent this before I knew anything about it, and I read it because I did hear some good reviews after I was sent it. But this is the one that I can think of most clearly that I got it, and I actually put it in the like, I'm not keeping it pile because I hadn't heard about it, I'm keeping my TBR down, blah, blah, blah. And then Joss from Yogi with the Book was talking about it, and I was like, oh my god, I need to read that. And it was one of my favorite books of the year. So yes, there is that like filtering out books that I haven't heard of before could be detrimental, where I wouldn't read a book because I hadn't heard of it before, but I'm only doing that for getting my TBR down. I feel like getting my TBR down is the new graduate school on my channel. How long does it take to edit videos? It depends on the video length. Again, those videos I talked about before where I have to put a lot of stuff in or have a lot of cuts, those take way longer. I would say it takes double the time of the video when it's like finished to edit it. So if I have a video that's 20 minutes long, it probably took 40 minutes or a little bit more to edit it, if that makes sense. How did you decide where to start and how to format and the editing of your videos and how that would be? I just kind of wung it, to be honest. Like the format of my videos and the editing of my videos, like I didn't really look into where to start. I just like watched a lot of like how to start a YouTube channel, how to start a booktube channel, whatever. But at a certain point you kind of just have to do it. So I more like built the brand. Like I was more concerned about like, what's my channel name? What's my logo gonna look like get all the social media stuff, whatever. And then I never really thought about like the formatting of my videos. The only thing I thought of was my reviews and like that was what did I care about? So when I watch reviews, I care about the world building, the characters, and the plot the most. So that's how I formatted my reviews, and I've stuck to that and I love it. That's fine. But other videos, I never really think about like how I'm gonna do them. I just kind of wing it. Has it worked so far? I don't know. What, if anything, do you want to talk about create separate from books? I actually have another channel. I have a separate channel that I call my personal channel, but it's basically my channel where I talk about everything that's not related to books. So I don't make content on there like a ton, but I do sporadically. I make a lot of it around like Vlogmas and stuff, and I want to make more, but I just need to like kind of consider some video topics and stuff because I always am putting booktube first, and I always think about that content more, and then that's like kind of secondary. But I talk about like TV shows, games, movies, plants, cooking, some fitness stuff, all of that on that channel. So I would love to make more content on that channel. I just have to kind of figure out how to carve out time because I already am filming a lot of content for this channel and then filming more for that. Like I never stick to a schedule for that channel. I've never wanted to, but all my extra stuff is that because I want to have another space to talk about and stuff like that, but I didn't want to put on this channel. How do you handle creepy / sexual messages or comments? I don't get a ton of them, thankfully. Sometimes I'll get stuff that's like, oh my god, you're so pretty, and I'm like, thanks. But anything that's like really, really creepy, I just delete and block. Like, and that hasn't happened a lot. I think my like YouTube does filter out comments that they think are spam. So I think anything super sexual just goes in there, and I literally never check that. Like I don't even go through and delete comments there. Like that's where any like the hate comments that are like really ugly probably are, and like anything really gross is probably in there. Were you nervous about people from real life stumbling across your videos? Not really. Again, I do tell people, like my friends and stuff in real life, that I have a channel. So, and when I first started, I was never like, oh, my parents are going to discover, because they would never be looking up booktube videos. The thing that I run into now, which is just a so current phenomena, is this is the first time in my life, the last like year or so, where I've been dating people that I didn't know when I first started my channel, because when I first started my channel, I was with my ex and I was up with him until like 2 years ago. So, and I didn't date for like a year because I was like, I don't want to. So I've been like very like, what do I do now? I don't think anybody that I would be dating would just stumble upon it, but when people are like, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, wow, a major part of my life is reading books to make content, filming content, editing content, traveling with people that I've met from booktube, like all of that. So it is something that's like, I would never tell someone at the beginning of like talking to them that I have this thing, but it is something to like talk to people about. And I also don't want someone to find my content. This has actually happened before. So I did tell someone that I was kind of talking to that I knew from real life that I had a channel, and that person went and started watching. They might be watching now, I'm sorry if you are, but they were watching my videos. But I told them like, I would rather you not, because that's basically like you're finding out information about me that is like personal, about like my likes and interests and stuff that I don't know about you, and you're not finding it out in an organic way. And it's sort of like reading a diary. Like you're even finding out stuff about like, especially with dating, about like what kind of personality traits like people like and all that kind of stuff. Like when you think about the little things, even if people don't share their personal life on here, like little things that they like about, again, like relationships or whatever. And I'm like, that's not fair or like organic. And I would just rather you not watch my content until you like deeply know me already, because then you're getting information that you like shouldn't really have. So yeah, it's like that's an awkward piece. Do you ever read a book just because everyone else is reading it? No, I never read a book just because everyone else is reading it. I will read a book around the same time everyone's reading it if I also want to read it, because I'm like, okay, I would love to read this around the hype. Like, for example, I'm reading Chain of Gold right now by Cassandra Clare. Well, I'm reading it while I'm filming this video. I'll probably be done with it by the time this video goes live. I don't know. But I wanted to read that before it came out, and I was like, I really want to read this right when it comes out, because I'll be reading it when everyone else is reading it. So yeah, I do that, but I don't read a book just because everyone else is reading it. Is it difficult to balance it with your job and other hobbies? Yes. It is harder, like, because I only really tend to film on the weekends when I am working. So it's like, it will take up like a whole chunk of my like Saturday. Like typically speaking, when I was back in Delaware working in a hospice and like exhausted, I would film on Saturdays, like morning to afternoon, and then start editing and edit into like Sunday, and then upload, do the thumbnails, do all of that. So like, it is a major part of my weekend. If I crunch all the time together, it's like a full day of working on it, especially because I do this bulk filming, you know, so then I don't have to do it throughout the week, you know, I don't have to do it every day or right before, you know, a video comes out. But yeah, it's a pretty significant chunk, and it is hard to like do this and then have other hobbies. I've talked about that before. Like I can usually only do either like booktube. Sometimes booktube is all I can do, like reading and all the stuff with booktube, and maybe one other hobby, like maybe I can also play a video game or be watching a show. But like, this takes so much time that I really can't do a ton of that other stuff. So yeah, it can be harder to balance things. But that just shows that like how much I love doing it. Like I wouldn't do this if it was like taking away from my life. Like, I don't think that it is, so I enjoy doing it. What are books everyone always asks you to read and review? Usually the hyped books people will ask, but people for the longest time were asking me to read and review Nevernight and were like not leaving me alone. So I finally did that one. So that one has gotten brought down a lot. I would say people bring up the Foxhole Court a lot, actually, like a lot on Tumblr, but like here too sometimes, which I do have on my Kindle, and I think I will eventually read, like I might read it this year. Don't get your hopes up and like harass me about it though. And I think those are the major ones. Like, I don't really have a lot that people really bother me about. I think I might start getting more questions about like, when are you reading Words of Radiance? When are you reading the next book in the Robin Hobb stuff? Like a little bit, but those are series that I've also told people like I'm gonna read these soon. So yeah, those are the ones that I feel like get brought up the most. How do you maintain healthy relationships on the platform? I feel like it's so easy to overshare. I haven't had a problem. I don't tend to overshare here at all, like personal life wise. I do talk about some stuff on like Instagram stories, but that's a smaller platform. So I've never personally shared anything I felt like has been too much. I've seen other people share things I feel like have been too much, and I've just been like, wow, I wouldn't do that. But like the only thing that's personal that would really keep personal, probably like my romantic relationships, and I've always kept that like very personal. I've had like my ex was in my like one video and would sometimes show up on Instagram stories, but like I make it kind of a point to like really only talk about like me and not really other people. What equipment do you use, like camera, lighting, etc.? I already talked about what I use for editing. My camera is a Sony A500 or A5100, I think. And then I have a ring light, which is just one from like, I don't even know the brand to be honest, but it's one you get off Amazon. I think you can get like the whole pack for like 50 bucks. So yeah, I don't use like super complicated technology. I do want to invest in some like sound stuff, but I don't know when that's gonna happen, to be honest. How many videos do you have pre-filmed in case you have a situation where you can't film at all? Like I said, I generally have 3 or more videos pre-filmed at any point in time. Do you get recognized in public often? Absolutely not. I only tend to get recognized like often when I go to like book events, but even like local book events I've gone to, I don't really get recognized. Like, it's if I go to like BookCon, BEA, Y'all Fest, you know, there's like a high level of people who are probably watching content. I've gotten recognized in like my normal life twice, I want to say. When I was living in Delaware, I have never gotten recognized here. That might happen when I move into like Chicago or something. But yeah, I don't get recognized in like real life except for at book related functions. Does everyone really get along, or is there drama behind the scenes? The does everyone really get along question makes me think that there are people out there making it seem like everyone on Booktube gets along, and I don't think that that is the case. If someone is really acting like everyone on Booktube gets along, they are lying to you. But Booktube is a very large community with a lot of people that have differing opinions and stuff, so I never don't get along with somebody because of their opinion. The people that I don't get along with are people who have like over and over personality in real life been shitty. So in that case, those people, I'm like, okay, you've given me like a reason to not like you. But I don't think there's a ton of cases of people being like not liking each other because of personal opinions. I think it's more been like people who've interacted in real life and been like, oh, you're not exactly like I thought you were, or you put on a facade in your videos, or something like that that makes people like not get along. But it's not the case of not getting along and like actively fighting. Like, I don't really think there's behind the scenes drama the same way there is with like beauty gurus, for example. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be a Tati level calling out James Charles level person. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be like, I'm making a video because so-and-so is shitty. Like, it's never that dramatic. It's just like, oh, I just don't like that person, and if they're like at the same event, we just don't talk, and like that's fine. Like, it doesn't, the not liking each other doesn't like impact any booktubers' lives, I don't think. Not that I've seen or experienced. I guess personally, me not liking someone or someone not liking me has never affected my life. What influence does Booktube have on your life? I've kind of like touched on this, but I think I do read more. I think I know way more about books. I know way more about publishing and how the system works. I am introduced to way more books than I would know before Booktube. Like, there was times before Booktube that I'd walk into a bookstore and like not know what to read because I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what stuff is good. I can't just go off the cover, and I would just like wouldn't pick anything up. And now it's like I go into a bookstore and I like know at least a little bit about most of the books on the shelves, I would say. So yeah, I'm just like, I'm able to better choose books for myself. I just know more about like book stuff in general. How long did it take you to get used to watching and hearing yourself talk? I would say that if you go back to my very first videos, you can tell that it's like kind of awkward and like I'm, you know, not quite, my personality isn't quite coming out. That wasn't intentional. It was just like, like it's awkward to film at first. I think it took maybe a couple months. maybe 6 months at the most, I would say, was when I was really starting to be like, okay, you can talk normal now. Hearing myself talk and stuff is not something that like took getting used to, but I think like everyone says, sometimes I hate some of my speech patterns. Like people mention in my comments sometimes about how often I say like, I hate it more than you do. I've tried to stop. I've tried, and it's just a verbal beat that I have a very hard time getting rid of. So trust me, anything that I do that annoys you probably annoys me way more because I have to watch it back and edit it. What are things you need to make videos that people wouldn't normally think of? I don't think necessarily anything. I mean, like lighting, like if someone is completely new to video making, it's probably like lighting, editing software, possibly some kind of like sound equipment if you are in a space that just isn't really good for sound. But that's basically all you like really need. Storage space, memory cards. And the last question is, what is your favorite moment you've ever had with a fan of your channel? I don't like calling people fans because that feels like really weird. I just say like viewer or whatever. I wouldn't say there's like one favorite that stands out, but I did do a meetup in Philly before I moved back to Illinois with people, and that was a really awesome experience. I had some people that got me like little like bookmarks and like wrote me letters, and like the letter writing that I've gotten like over the years with people that have met me in person, because I don't have a PO box, although like if y'all really wanted me to get a PO box to write me letters, not to like send me other stuff, then I would consider it, because I really do love the like letter thing. But those kind of things where it's been like, you know, your channel got me through a really hard time, like those are really great experiences, because I have channels that got me through hard times. Like I had channels that I watched a lot when I was sick and quarantined in my house when I had cancer, so like that is important and significant to me. I had someone at the most recent BEA got me 2 different kinds of s'mores snacks because they knew that I liked it. So that was somebody that I knew like really watched my content, because I don't mention that like a ton. So that was really great. I've had people say like they've watched me with their kids, which is super cute. I've had people at like BEA or like at bigger events that are like, I need to meet you, like where are you kind of thing, you know, like they're personally seeking me out, which is really nice. Yeah, like pretty much anyone that I've met like that has come up to me and been like strong enough to come up to me, because some people get really nervous and I'm like, I get that, but also like don't be nervous about me because I'm a nerd. So like like I will never make someone feel uncomfortable intentionally. Like maybe I will accidentally like say something awkward because I have anxiety, but like I would never do that like intentionally. So anyone that comes up and says hi to me, I'm always like, yes, please do that. So yeah, I've had really good interactions, and I've had a lot of good interactions with people that like originally came up to me like as a viewer and were friends in like real life now. Like Sam from Willard for Booze and Caitlin from Book Chats are like the 2 really significant ones that I've thought of that are like my friends in real life now. So yeah, it's always a really great experience, but those are the ones that probably stick out the most, but like every single one has been cool. So that is it for the Ask Me Anything About Being a Booktuber. Comment down below if you have any other like questions or clarifications or whatever, and if you liked this. And don't forget, if you want to check out Campfire technology, that will be linked down below for all your writing needs. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!